good evening, and welcome to Night Callers Bigfoot Radio. You're here with your hosts, Lori Hood and Lauren Smith. How you doing tonight, Lori?
I'm doing great tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I think there's a little bit of a lag on your end. Just
yeah, I heard kind of a crack. I heard kind of a crackle there. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I think there's going to be a lag tonight, but we'll make do. So it is our annual Halloween show. Maybe, in a few years we'll actually get to have it on our show, on show night, on the right night.
And we were going to upload some Halloween sounds and things like that, but, it's just been kind of cray-cray, and I just haven't been able to get to things like I normally do, and hopefully this week everything will resume to normalcy, and that would be awesome, very awesome.
Yeah. So Lori retired recently, and it's been nothing like she thought it was going to be, because it seems like the minute she retired, all hell broke loose in our lives. Just family crisis after family crisis after just it's been honest to God insane. So anyway, so we're kind of fighting against the tide and trying to stay on top of everything and keep bringing you guys good guests in the midst of the craziness that is our lives here lately. We've had some emergencies in the family, and some quite a few different emergencies within our family, and so we're just asking for y'all's patience and for just a little patience and understanding. We are still trying to be the amazing night callers we've always been, but it's just been a hectic month or so. Tonight we're supposed to have Gypsy Moon on. Gypsy Moon is one of our favorites. We've had her on before, and she's a great guest and a great lady. I think there may be a technical difficulty on her end, so we're waiting on her to join us. So in the meantime, Lori and I are going to chit-chat and maybe tell some ghost stories of our own.
Okay. I think they've heard all of my ghost stories, Lauren. Yeah, because last year I think I had to tell my ghost story. So anybody out there that has a ghost story that's listening live that wants to share their ghost story, you can call in at 323-870-3792. That's 323-870-3792. And tonight we are taking callers. So there you go. And we'll even accept cray-cray stories.
Oh, God. Do not say that. Do not put that evil on us. The first person that calls in with an inappropriate story about a ghost touching them, I'm going to have to hang up on you. And I will hunt you down.
Oh, my goodness. So have you contacted her?
Yes. I already told you that, but yes.
Okay. Oh, you did? Well, I apologize.
Yes, I did.
Well, Lauren, have you ever seen a ghost?
Yes. I'm going to be a hard guest. I'm going to make you pull it out of me. I'm going to make you work for it.
You aren't a guest, you're a host, so I can't.
Well, I'm going to be a guest until we find ours. I thought we could tell about the time that we went to the San Antonio Ghost Track.
Oh, that was pretty cool. That
was pretty cool, and I think it's worth telling again because I think we may have gained a whole lot of new listeners since last year. I know we have. So why don't we tell about that?
Well, we had some friends that lived down in San Antonio, and we had heard about the ghost tracks. Supposedly, a school bus full of children had the bus
Not
had
supposedly.
stalled on the track.
It was a true story.
Yeah,
That was
but
a true
you can't
story.
find anything about it. There was no actual news story on it. But what's weird is that we couldn't find an actual news story on it, that it actually happened, that the bus was struck by a train and 17 kids died or something. And all the streets, all in that same neighborhood, are all named after these children, supposedly. And so we went there, and what the deal is, and there's several areas that are like this, where you just put your car in neutral, and it goes uphill. And in this area, you put your car in neutral, and your car will go uphill and over the tracks and will actually gain speed. And they say if you spray or put baby powder on the back of your vehicle that you'll get handprints. Well, so we came prepared. We brought cooking spray and sprayed it over the back of our vehicle, then powdered it down. And when we got there were other people doing it. At first, the people that lived there knew it was not really a very good part of town, so they were really paranoid when they saw all these cars. They thought it was gang activity or something, but what it ended up being was all these people were trying the ghost tracks and pulling over and checking out the back of their vehicles for fingerprints. So we did it, and when we pulled over and looked, we had handprints and like forearm prints and just different smudges on the back of our vehicle. And I just thought, that's really crazy. So we fixed it again to where there wasn't any smudges, and we did it again. We wanted to make absolutely sure that nobody touched it. So we did it again, and sure enough, again, we had even more handprints. We had handprints on the bumper, on the window, along the side of the car, right at the back on the side panels. And it was a minivan, so it was just like on the back. And so then the kids, now Lauren, remind me if I'm forgetting anything. Then the kids wanted to get out of the van and follow behind the car. So I said, okay, so I'm letting the ghost children push us across the tracks, and these kids are running behind, and they look wild-eyed. And they say they were literally being pushed across those tracks. Yeah. And it was just a really, really strange. Of course, scientists will say that it's just an optical illusion. It's really not going up. But you can take a basketball.
That it's gravitational, magnetic.
Yes. Yeah. And now maybe magnetic, but the basketball rolled backwards. It did not go forward if it had been like an optical illusion. So I don't know. But there are other places. I was in a place in Alabama. It was the same thing. There was no railroad track there, but it was the same thing. You were going uphill, obviously, but it was just you were picking up speed going uphill. It was crazy. And this is as your vehicle was in neutral, idling. So, and what they were doing was killing their vehicles, and just leaving them in neutral and being pushed.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was a pretty interesting thing. Okay, Gypsy Moon, we're ready for you.
She's not here yet. So I remember my memory from that. Obviously, I was very young. I don't even remember how old I was. I was under 10. And I remember I rode in the truck ahead of them. Or I think we were behind you guys. And I was riding in the truck behind y'all. And And I remember all the big kids getting out and saying that they were being pushed and all that. And I remember just being just absolutely terrified because our vehicle like shuddered and then it started moving. No, I don't think it shuddered. I think it just rolled smoothly. Now that I think about it, I think I was expecting it to shudder like a carnival ride or something, but it didn't. I remember it just started moving. Just seamlessly almost, just as if someone were pushing it, seamlessly started moving.
I think the most interesting thing about all of that was that it really gave you a sense that there was something ghostly about it. Because especially with all the handprints, it's like, where did they come from? Right. I just like, that told me there was definitely something really real about that whole area. And to this day, you know, I mean, there was even a policeman there because there were so many people doing these ghost tracks.
Yeah.
You know, that they
like
have to actually keep up.
it was, there were a ton of people off to the right of the tracks. There's a place where you go over the tracks and then you pull in to the right into this parking lot, and they have a whole parking lot dedicated to this. People
exactly, and if you
to stop and get out and check their cars.
Right, and he would be telling them, pull over, pull out of here, because there's somebody coming. You know, it was, don't stop the flow of ghost experience there. You know, that was just...
yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's a whole parking lot dedicated to it. That's just, it's crazy, but it's hard to refute that one. You know, that definitely was an experience. Can't say if it was like, I don't know. I would like to go back there as an adult now and do it again and kind of see if it's, I don't even know if they still have it, you know, where you can do it. I'm sure they do, but I would like to go back now as an adult and experience that again. Yeah. I think that would be interesting.
What is your most favorite Halloween movie?
Ooh, that is a good one. My favorite Halloween movie. Hocus Pocus. What'd you say? What'd you say?
Yeah, that's a great one.
I can't hear you. I was talking to Ricky, seeing what he said, but he whispered it, and I don't think it was meant for on-air listeners to hear, apparently. But apparently it was one of those. But yeah, my favorite, Hocus Pocus or Nightmare Before Christmas is a good one. But if you're talking like a horror movie, like, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, you're the scariest. Like, if you were going to have a Halloween night and watch a scary movie, what would you watch?
I don't know. I don't know. What would yours be?
Halloween. The first one.
Yeah, that's what I was going to go with. I don't know. Maybe like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, because, you know, Halloween's it's just the way the wind is blowing down the streets and everything. It just reminds me of all the Halloweens as I was growing up. You know, especially when we would be out really late trick-or-treating and everybody was basically closing up shop. It'd be like 9:30, and we were still out there. I mean, that's the way we did it when we were kids. We didn't stop until our bag was full, and it started getting very lonely and spooky out there. And the wind would be blowing, and the leaves would be blowing along the ground, and all the lights were going off. You know, all the porch lights were going off, and there was just a few of us left out there. And my mother would park down at the end of the block, and we would do the whole block. And so we got down to one end of the block, and all the houses were dark. And it was just that block to the car was so scary because it was so dark. So dark. She was sitting under the street light, but it was dark, you know, and you could see the car, see safety. Yeah. But what was going to get you before you got to that car? And you've got these bags of candy that you're dragging along the ground because they're so full. and and it's, you know, you're wet, you know, your feet are wet, your costume's wet, you know, because grass is wet, and I just wonderful memories of trick or treating. But Halloween, the movie, always reminded me of that. You know, that the leaves blowing in the wind and on a quiet neighborhood street. It just brought back, you know, the scariness of Halloween.
Yeah,
sure.
And I could see that definitely.
Now kids trick or treat in the daytime, don't they? They don't even trick or treat at night, do they?
No, they trick or treat at night. Yeah.
Okay.
Like my kids, we go around the block, and we actually. So you said you go around the block until your bags are filled up, and we don't even make it 2 houses before we actually bring an extra bag. It's called a dump bag, because we don't even make it a few houses before the bags are overflowing and we got to dump them.
Wow.
But we use like jack-o'-lantern Halloween buckets, and they don't hold as much as pillowcases. See, pillowcases,
we
that's
have the
where,
pillowcases.
Yeah. Those go for days. I mean, you don't have to ever dump those.
And then we weren't allowed to eat any of it till Mama checked it. You know, Mama had to check it. Even back then, this was back in the 60s, and Mama had to check it, you know, because there were even cray-crays out there then. So,
we check it now, and my kids don't understand that yet, you know, that why I have to check it. They just, honestly, I don't, it's actually indicative of how I'm raising my children. They think that I'm checking it so I can take all the good stuff. They don't trust me.
Oh, no. No, I don't blame them.
Well, I mean, they don't deserve Reese's. You know, I never got Reese's. Those are the good things. Those are the good parts of the, you know. They don't deserve the Reese's. Nope. Reese's are for parents, and they can have all the Dum-Dums and Tootsie Rolls and, you know, all the lame stuff.
Wow.
What's your favorite non-scary Halloween movie?
Hocus Pocus.
Yay, me too.
Oh, my goodness.
Although I did see a...
Just in time for Halloween, there's a spider. I have to kill it.
Oh, well, you do what you got to do over there. That's gross. I don't envy you. At all.
I know, I don't either. I hope I killed it. You didn't just make it mad.
I'm sure our listeners are just so excited to have 60 minutes of you slaying spiders and me, you know, doing...
What we will do is...
I'm sure they really don't care.
If she doesn't call in, we'll call it a show at 30 minutes. So we won't drive everybody crazy today with our eggs.
Can't believe they don't want to listen to us talk about this awesome spider killing experiences here.
Well, they probably want to hear a good ghost story, true ghost story, something that really did happen. You got
plenty of those.
I sure do, because when I was a child, I actually saw lots of ghosts. We were in the military, and everywhere we moved, it's like everywhere we moved, I saw something. And so there's, you know, it's just very strange that after, I guess, about the age of 23, probably 23, after that, I didn't ever see any ghosts. From that point on, I just sensed them, heard them, things like that, but never could actually see one unless it was through peripheral vision, and even then, that was the only way I could see it in my 20s, you know, and then after that, I can't see them at all. But I remember one time when I guess I was about 7 years old. I came into the living room, and it was in the afternoon, and there was this man sitting there in the living room, and he looked like an older man. He kind of looked like my grandpa, but I didn't think it was my grandpa, but he kind of looked like my grandpa, and he had a hat in his hand, one of those that like from the 40s, and he was just sitting there, and he had on a shirt, and he had one of those little lariat tie things, and boots, like cowboy boots, but it's like a dress up, go to church outfit he was wearing, and it was just plain as day to me. So I go into the kitchen, and my mom's in there making baby formula, and of course, at that time I had probably two sisters, or one sister at least, on formula, just an infant. And I said, "Who is that man in the living room?" And she says, "What?" And I said, "Who is that old man in the living room?" She was going, "What old man?" And she just dropped her towel and went out there. I followed her, and she said, "Where is he?" And I said, "Well, he was sitting right there." And she checked the whole house, and there was no one there. Of course, I used to get spanked a lot for lying, making stuff up, and things like that, because, they didn't believe what I was saying. And, I used to just, I would, there was another time we were living in base housing in Dover, Delaware, and my sister and I both woke up to hear walking up and down the hall. It was an end unit. It was 4 bedrooms, units on the end, and then in the center were 2-story units, 3 bedrooms, and it was just base housing complex. But we lived in an end unit, and so it was single story, and we heard, had just parquet floors all the way through. We heard somebody walking up and down the hall. Well, my parents always kept the bathroom light on, and it was right off the hall. So I'm at one end of the hall, and she's at the other, and we both look out at the same time. I see her looking out her door as she sees me looking out mine, and both of our eyes are just as big as saucers. There's nobody in the hall, but we can still hear them walking back and forth, back and forth. It sounded like they had boots on. So we realized that the sound was coming from the attic. And the attic had one of those, it wasn't like steps, a door and steps to the attic. It was an opening in the attic that you pushed the board away, and you had to get a ladder to get up in there. And apparently my dad had been up in there, and it was still open. Well, we could hear it. Hear this person walking back and forth, and you could see the opening. You could kind of see up in the opening, but some of the objects around the door were lit up from the bathroom light, but we could never see anything, but back and forth. And so finally I ran down the hall to be with her, because I wanted to know what she knew. Had she seen anybody up there, anything? And she said, "Get in here before he drops one of those big radio batteries on your head." Dad had a bunch of these big radio batteries up there, and so we're listening to this individual walk back and forth, and then we saw him step over. And when we did, he was wearing fatigue pants, which were green fatigue pants, yellow socks, and black fatigue boots. Well, we knew someone was up there then. So we went across, her room was right straight across the hall to Mom and Dad's, and we went in there and we woke them up, which through the years we have woken them up. And yes, we got in huge trouble because we saw things that they couldn't see. And so we would get in huge trouble. Well, we went and woke him up and said, there is somebody up in the attic. And I think for some reason, Dad took it a little more seriously because we both heard it. It wasn't just Janet and it wasn't just me. We both heard it. And so he got the ladder out and he went up there and we're just holding hands and we're just all clenched up and just knew somebody was going to clobber him up there. And he looked around and he said he took each one of us up there and showed us. There was no one up there. And what I found just completely surprising is that there was no room for anyone to walk. I mean, they had it packed up there. Boxes and just all kinds of stuff. And there was no way anyone could have walked back and forth up there. There was no room. I mean, we couldn't even go up in the attic. There was too much up there. All we could do was look, And so that was the only time anything ever happened there. And the amazing thing is that individual did not leave the attic because at one end of the attic was vents going to the outside, and the other end was a solid brick wall. So there was no way for that individual to come out unless they came out through the opening, which they did not because we were watching it, so all it could have been was a ghost. So
that is so creepy.
It was scary. It was. I lived in a house in California. It was a strange place. It was a beautiful brick home, but it sat on a sand lot that nothing grew on. It was just sand and a few weeds and a bunch of dead frogs and money. We were always finding coins out there. And at night, something would walk across the front porch, dressed up in a trench coat, kind of like Dick Tracy, And it was just a shadowy figure that walked in front of the window. Our window was right off the front porch, and the street light would shine, and it would just cast a shadow. Now, ghosts don't cast shadows, I wouldn't think, but it was a shadow, and it was almost every single night. So I don't know what that was about, but that was really scary too, because when it would start, I would go right under the covers, put the pillow over my head, and I'd have this little tiny breathe hole. And I would just stay like that till daylight. Oh, my goodness. This stuff scared me to death. The movie Sixth Sense. That boy.
Oh, yeah.
I could totally relate to him, although I never saw anything like he did. Thank God.
Right.
But it was, yes, it was very interesting. All those things.
That movie scared me.
Yeah.
That's probably the best
too.
Halloween movie right there. It
Yes.
probably is. That one scared the peas out of me. Oh my gosh, when I was little, it scared me so bad, and then when I got older, it scared me even worse because I'm like, what if my child's seeing this and he can't tell me? Or he doesn't want to tell me.
Right.
And then I would get so nervous that these ghosts were bugging my baby and I didn't know about. I would get so upset.
Well, you've had some instances where you think Adam has seen things. Is that true?
Yeah. There's different things where Adam has. He said stuff, and little kids, they, I know from experience, like I have a massive imagination, and when I was little, it was even worse, and so I would take the things he said with a grain of salt, but he says the weirdest things. There was one time, probably not the creepiest, but one of the most notable times is actually you were present, and we were sitting in the guest room in our rent house, and
oh yes, I
Ricky's
remember that.
Yeah, Ricky's grandfather, my husband's grandfather, had passed away a month or two earlier. Or maybe, no, I think about a month or two earlier. And maybe 3 months. And anyway, we're sitting in there, and we're all just chit-chatting, sitting on the bed, and all of a sudden the door to the bedroom just by itself just closes on its own, just shuts. And so, Mom and I just look at each other, and and then we look at Adam, and, to see what he's thinking about it, and he said, Papa, go bye-bye. Papa's gone now. And it was so weird that he said that, because he had never really, he had met Ricky's grandfather, but not at a talking age, and only maybe 2-3 times. He had never really been around him that much in person. But he knew him. Well, I guess he used to stay over there, but he was an infant, less than a year old. And so he just said, Papa, go bye-bye. Papa's gone now. And we had been having some stuff, going on in the house before that, and as soon as that all occurred, the stuff that had been going on in the house stopped. And we didn't have any other activity in the house after that moment. We didn't have any other feelings of a presence. There were weird things that happened. Another thing that happened where Adam, it was right after he got his little big boy bed, and so we had him in his bed, and I'd put him to bed, and he would just cry and cry and cry, and I just thought it was, a big boy bed, and, he's having to sleep in there, but he had been sleeping in his room alone before that, so I didn't understand what the big deal was all of a sudden. So I go in there, and Adam, what's wrong? Why are you so upset? And he said, Mama, the creaks. And I'm like, Adam, what are the creaks? The creaks. And he just really wasn't making much sense. And so I'm like, okay, Bubba, go to bed. And, this would go on, and a battle. And finally, he's like, the creaks come in after you shut the door. The creaks come in. And I said, Bubba, what are the creaks? And he said, the creaks, the big creaks, they go, ooh. Oh, my Lord. I tell you, I grabbed that kid up and took him to my room. I said, you're sleeping with Mama tonight? Oh, my gosh. It creeped me out so bad. He did this little hand motion with it, his hands up in claws and this woo motion. Oh, my goodness, that freaked me out so bad. When my kids see something, and maybe it's because I grew up with you, who was so open-minded, and after what you went through, I don't know. But when my kids say they see something, I take them very seriously, and I either sleep with them, or I take them to my room and let them sleep with me, or even they don't have to see it. If I see or hear something that I think is creepy, I will get up and go sleep with my kids. Because I don't want whatever it is to go bug them,
Exactly.
I feel like they're safer if I'm in there with them. So I did that the other night. I was laying there asleep, and this happens to me quite often. I call it hallucinating is what I feel like it is, but I will open my eyes, and there will be somebody standing right by my bed, and it's not always the same person. And it's like it's a different entity or a different thing every time I do it. And so I opened my eyes. This was probably night before last maybe. And I opened my eyes, and there was a little girl standing by my bed. And she...
Is she like a full image or a shadow, or what is she?
It's more like...
is she completely dense or see-through, or...
Yeah. For the most part, yeah. It's like I open my eyes and they're standing there, and I rear my head back and blink, and as soon as I open my eyes again, they're gone.
Oh, okay.
And usually I don't see enough of them, because if you're laying in bed and you're faced towards, the area beside your bed where someone would stand, and somebody comes up and stands next to you. Well, my bed's pretty low, so I'm going to see probably their crotch area or, their knees, and I'm going to see their trousers or their pants, and so if I rear back, I'm not going to see much of them. So usually I don't know if it's a man or a woman or who's standing next to my bed, but I do know it's different people. Well, this one, her face stuck in my mind because she was low enough to the ground that I saw her face. For the first time, I actually saw somebody's face. And so I rear back and then blink and she's gone, but she's just this little brunette girl, and she was wearing a red and white dress. And whereas others, it's like a real person standing next to the bed. It's dark in my room. They're standing there. I rear back. They disappear. Her, she was like surrounded by light this time, which is not normal.
Wow.
That's not a normal occurrence in my life.
Mm-hmm.
Or that's not a normal thing that happens. So and this is the first time I've ever seen a child, ever, in my entire life that I've been randomly witnessing these things in my sleep. I never have seen a child until this time. And so I just thought, I'm dreaming, I'm hallucinating. I always talk myself out of it. I'm dreaming, I'm hallucinating, But, yeah. I mean, she was there. I don't know if she was all just a figment of my very tired imagination, but anyway. But
wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
so glad we had this show so you could share that with us.
I know, so I could tell you at least.
Exactly.
So whenever my child says he sees something or hears something, I usually take him pretty seriously. He's told me before. He told me, it was a month or two ago, he told me there was someone walking across the living room. And he said, Mama, someone just walked across the living room. And I said, what? I said, there's nobody here. And he said, yeah, they walked towards the door. And I said, well, did they open the door? And he said, no, they went to the door and just left. And, the way he says it, he's just cool as a cucumber, this is just a normal thing for him. He sees it. And so it's just, but he says stuff like that all the time, and I just look at my husband, and I'm just like, I'm sitting there trying not to freak out at this point. I'm like, what?
Right.
Oh,
he's
my
probably
God.
like his grandma, his Nana did the same thing when she was young. And, I would get in trouble. So every time I saw something like that, I kept it to myself because it would just bring me misery. And so, of course, now my mother's the coolest person on the planet. She wants to hear about all the things that I saw when I was a kid. And I can't even remember most of them. And so, yeah, she finally got open-minded about it. And back then she was too busy for all that nonsense. She had 5 kids, and they were all 7 to infants in ages. So, it was, she didn't have time to deal with that. She didn't, but there was
She didn't have time, and the scariest thing about that is that you have no control over that situation at all, It's, your child is, is witnessing these things, and there's not a damn thing you can do about it, really. It's the most helpless situation. No. You can bless your house, which I frequently do, but...
Yes. No, and I don't know if it's, to talk to my husband, he thinks all spirits are evil. If they're not in heaven and they're not earthbound, then they've denied the light and they're evil, and that's his mentality on it. But I think that some people do just get lost after they pass. They don't know they're dead yet, or they somehow got lost and lost their way, and so you don't always know. I've picked up EVPs, which is electronic voice phenomenon. I picked that up when I was doing Bigfoot research. And I had a recording that got from the front porch, and it was some guy humming or whistling. I can't remember what he was doing exactly. And then he says, "Good morning." and there was no one here to do that. I was like, who is that? And then there was another time we were with Billy and Luke, and we were at the Sulphur River Bottoms, and the EVPs were just amazing from that area. We were getting a lot of EVPs, just random voices saying random things. And it wasn't anybody there that, you know, I didn't recognize the voice as being any one of us. And it was just really, really, but that place was creepy anyway. It really had a creepy vibe about it. They used it for Halloween wagon trail or something. They had all these haunted looking stuff, headless dolls, and just all kinds of weird stuff all through it. And so it was already a creepy place before they did all of this. I'm sure it's why they chose that place. There's some serious history going on in that place. So we've just, I have been with people that as adults, they see things. I remember one time we were down at the dead end, the infamous dead end, and I had two people with me, and I think it was Crystal and Matt Knapp. But they were getting out of the car, and when they got out of the car, they ducked down. And I said, "What are y'all doing?" They said, "Well, there's a rope hanging down here." And I said, "A rope?" And they go, "Yeah, it's a rope hanging from like one of them trees. It's hanging down across the car." And I looked, there was no rope there, but they could see it. Also, they heard like a little girl talking out there in the woods. They saw a ghost Bigfoot. That was the ghost that disappeared. They not particularly Matt and Crystal, but several other people have seen things down there in at this place. So it's a very interesting world. You know, we started out going to the Bragg Light down in Saratoga, Texas, and this is the haunted light that swings across the road, and they say that there's stories of it coming and getting on the hood of your car and all this kind of stuff. Well, I can't tell you how many trips I made down there and sat there all night long. This is before I knew about Bigfoot, which I would have probably had a better chance of having an encounter with Bigfoot than I did with the Bragg Light, which I never saw. Never saw it.
Right.
So,
I mean,
I did enjoy investigating the paranormal for a while, but then when I discovered Bigfoot, or it discovered me, basically, it was just like something that I was way more interested in learning about, because it was flesh and blood, real, and I actually had better luck researching Bigfoot than I did researching the paranormal, which is kind of a hit and miss. You know, it's a hit and miss. So, well, it's your turn. Well, we have like 16 minutes left, so we might as well just finish the hour up telling stories.
I know. Might as well make the most of it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to tell you a story about Mark. Mark had bought a house in Huntington, and it had been owned previously by a lady named Mrs. Croft. And she had ended up in a nursing home and had passed away. So the house was sold, and he bought it. And so he was in the house doing some renovations and stuff, and guess who shows up? Mrs. Croft.
Mrs. Croft.
And the whole time he is trying to clean get the floor ripped up and stuff like that, she is screaming at him. screaming at him. She doesn't want him to do that. Stop. That's her floor. Blah, blah, blah. Seriously. And so he just ignores her, you know, because that's what he has been taught to do. Don't acknowledge them. They'll go away. Well, she didn't. She just kept on and on and on and on. And finally, one night, he had enough. And she had followed him into the bedroom. And he just sat down and he mentally projected a huge hand to punch her right out of the house. And it worked. It got rid of her. And he never had another problem with her. Yes. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. But, you know, she was, no one else could hear her or see her, but he could. And he was just, it was just driving him nuts. You know, she was just following him around, dropping him out. Yeah. Really strange
can you imagine?
things.
I mean, that just kind of sucks for both parties. I mean, he's just trying to renovate his new house, and she is, you know, that's my house. Stop messing up my pretty floors.
My house. Get out. Yes. I don't know who this is, but let's see. That's who? Ricky?
What? No.
We have a caller. Hello?
Oh.
Hi. Hello?
Hi, is that you? Who is this?
My name is Maria. I call from New York. Do you hear me?
Hello, Maria. How are you?
Yes. Fine. How are you? Do you have a story for us tonight?
Yes. Okay. I got a question.
Okay.
See, my daughter is going to work. Go Kyle going to call my daughter for work.
I'm sorry. I didn't understand that.
You see, you see Kyle is going to give a contract to my daughter to work. You get it?
Okay. She's asking me if her daughter's getting a contract to go to work?
Yes, somebody give a contract.
No, I think you have the wrong number. I'm sorry. I thought we were going to hear a scary story.
Well, being unemployed is pretty scary.
Yeah, that is. That's very scary. Gosh. Okay. Well, I'm trying to think of some stories that I haven't told before, but it's just,
Well, don't. Tell the Jersey Devil one.
I don't know that one.
What? Your story? Where you guys saw the Jersey Devil or the
the dragon. The dragon.
Oh, yeah. Whatever, yeah.
I didn't see it. My sister saw it. So, two of my sisters saw it. They say it just came up out of a puddle, and it was 6 foot tall, just a red, scaly dragon. And it just absolutely terrified them. And this was during the day, and I'm just like, you know, I don't mind telling this story, but it's really not my story to tell because I'm not going to do it justice. I'm not going to be able to describe the colors of it. It was green and red and yellow, and it was a dragon, you know, a dragon. And it just came up out of that puddle, out of a puddle on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And but there were 4 or 5 kids. They all saw it, and they were all just screaming, you know, screaming and running, and just absolutely shook up and terrified. And So they all described the same thing. And it's just weird. What in the world was that? Really? What was that? I didn't see it, you know. But, yes, 2 of my sisters saw it and 3 of the neighbor children. And this was out in California. So I don't know if they saw a lizard man, but I don't think it was a lizard man. I think what they saw was a dragon. How in the world, you know, did they see the devil? You know, I don't know. I don't know what they saw. Yeah.
I don't either. That's, you know, when you see even, like, you know, seeing apparitions of people is creepy. Yeah, that's creepy. But seeing apparitions of a creature, now that just takes it to a whole new level. Like, that's something I just don't know if I could handle, and I don't.
Well, their ages were like 7, 8, 5, and 4, and then I think there was a 6-year-old there too. They were all littler kids, you know, but they all described the same thing. And even to this day, if you ask the one sister that's still surviving that saw it, she will still claim, yes, we saw that, and describe it exactly like her sister described it. So it's just that it was very real to them, what they saw. I don't know what else to say. It was just real strange. Definitely.
So have you ever had an encounter where you saw a creature-like apparition rather than a human?
Rather than a Bigfoot?
Yeah, that.
No. No, one time I did see something, but I wasn't sure what it was. And it was, we were living in a house in Delaware, and it was an older home. It was 2-story. A lot of strange things happened in that house. The kids were always sleepwalking, either trying to go to the attic or trying to go to the basement. We were chased through the house with heavy breathing on our neck, you know. There was just something really wrong with that house. Well, one evening I was out swinging, and I looked up at the attic window, and I thought I saw some kind of creature looking at me. And when I saw it for just a second as the swing swung towards the house, I saw it. And then when it swing went back, the trees blocked the view. And when I came back again, there was a box there in front of the window, and the lid, one of those quadfold tops, the lid was moving. But the creature that I saw looked like something off of Lost in Space. It was kind of like a monkey, but it had like a weird ears that were straight up off its head and then came down at an angle, like they were, I don't know, maybe horns. I don't know. I didn't get but a brief look at it. That's the creepiest thing I think I've ever seen, but I didn't really get a real good look at it. Whatever it was moved, and the only thing that was moving up there was that box lid. And then the next time I started slowing down, and I looked back up there again, and the box wasn't moving anymore. So that house was an older home, and there was something wrong there, very wrong, in that house. And it was tormenting the children in that house. All the times that we were followed with the, breathing down our neck, and the kids sleepwalking, the 2 youngest ones sleepwalking. My parents would be in there watching the news or something, and here would be, one of the younger kids, trying to open the door to go up in the attic, and then the other one was trying to open the door up and go in the basement. And they were asleep. Their eyes were closed. They were asleep. So my dad just picked them up and carried them and put them back to bed. Yeah. So that house is probably one of the most haunted houses we've ever lived in.
That is just creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think the house you live in now has been pretty haunted at different times.
At different times, yes. In fact, I had been gone to my mother's to do some work over there, and I was gone, and I took both the dogs with me. And my husband said that he was woken up. He heard a dog running down the stairs real fast. He heard the claws on the steps, it's wooden steps. And he said it just kind of freaked him out because he knew we don't have any dogs in the house right now. Lori's got all the dogs. So, yeah. I hope that won't keep you from coming to see me.
Well, I was thinking Christmas at my house this year sounds really good. Right? Yeah, I think so. Definitely. So, I'll get the guest room all ready for you, and we'll have snacks. It'll be good.
Well, the odd thing is that we had probably heard it before, but always assumed it was one of our animals doing it,
Oh, great.
So,
that makes me feel so much better. You are just, thank you for adding that in there. That does not help me feel better. Sweet Jesus.
No, it's no,
and
seriously,
I was
if there was
getting better.
anything. Yeah,
I was getting
that
better.
Really was
I was
strange,
like, I was getting to the point where I was like, I think I might be ready to sleep in the guest bedroom again at your house. I think I'm almost brave enough to face my childhood fear and sleep in that vortex of doom that room is. And then you tell me this, and now guess what? I'm sleeping in your bed every time I come back to your house now, and you just sealed the deal. I'm sorry, I was going to give you your bed back, but no, not now. No. There are creatures afoot in your home. I'm glad you think that's funny. I am dead serious right now. I serious. I had made the decision. I'm going to face my childhood fear. It's not even childhood fear. I was like 18 the last time I slept in that room and had experience. And so I was like, I'm going to face my fear, and I think I'm ready to sleep in that room and my family in that room. And no, not now. I will sleep on the porch.
You should come and spend the night on Halloween night. Woo!
Oh,
even better.
You think you're so funny. Well, I'm glad that we had the show, and even though I think there was a miscommunication with Gypsy Moon, but I'm glad we had the show. Everybody that tuned in tonight. Yes. Everyone that tuned in tonight, we appreciate you tuning in to listen to Lori and I just kind of tell our stories and chit-chat, and we hope you all have a very safe and happy Halloween. We will be back next week. We'll be back at 8:30 Central Standard Time, hopefully with a real guest this time, not someone that we made up in our minds. And so this is a figment of our imagination that we can hear her. You guys can't hear her? She's talking right now. You don't hear that?
She would have been an excellent guest
had
she been able to come. We've had her before.
Yes,
I'm not sure if we've had her on this show or the Lone Star Legends, but
no, I think we had her on Lone Star Legends. Mm-hmm.
Yes. And she probably might have been a little reluctant to come on because of the Bigfoot thing, but,
maybe.
I don't know.
Maybe. But we will be
she's
back
apparently
next
not
week.
afraid of ghosts, but maybe she's afraid of Bigfoot.
We may have her back on, everybody. I don't want to say that until I confirm with her, but we may have her back on. I'm really interested to have her on. She's recently gone on a few trips to the Waverly Hills Sanatorium and Lizzie Borden's home, as well as other various places that are not as famous, but where she got really good results from. So that's why I'm really excited to have her on. Also, she's a very enlightened person, and she's just a joy to talk to. So we'll try to get this rescheduled and get her back on. And like I said, everybody have a happy and safe Halloween. Check your candy.
Yes, be careful out there.
Be careful out there. Hopefully everybody has a good Halloween and it's cool but not too cold and not wet and rainy. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we'll call
all
it
right.
a night.
Well, we'll see you all next week. All right. Good night.
All right. Good night.
Good night, Lauren. I love you. All right.
Good night.
Good night.
Love you, Mom.